Hello, my mimics, and welcome back to the Mimic Commentary, episode, I think, 103. I think this is 103. We're back in Liurnia because we have to make a detour. I forgot, or I just missed, one of the, pivotal, really so important items in the game, because I neglected to kill one of the random enemies just hanging out in Liurnia. So this episode is going to be kind of a cleanup episode for what we missed, and it's this person right here. You have to kill this lone... Oh, hey. You gotta kill this lone sinner who hangs out with the fire monks to get such an important piece of lore. Guaranteed drop. The Briars of Sin. So this is going to be a Briars of Sin episode. Before we read it, let me put it on the hotbar so we can actually use it. The Briars of Sin, it only gets mentioned, I think, 3 times throughout the game, but it's one of those things that I think is tied to prophecy. And before we continue through Caelid, I think it's really important that we cover this spell, what it does and what it looks like and what it could possibly mean. So let's actually take off Canon of Haima. This is a sorcery that requires faith. And we should be able to cast that. But before we do, let's go somewhere to check this out. We'll do it on these guys before we read what it does. Oh, it's around us. So right, this does a lot of damage, and it takes a lot of our energy. It's building up bleed on us, and it is lowering our health. It takes a lot of HP. So we're summoning thorns around the staff and then putting that into our own body, and the blood is just all over the place. Let's do that one more time. Yeah, and you could see that the briars, those thorns that are coming out. So far, we've seen these people cast it. Obviously, they know how to cast it. Look at these. That looks like their lips have been peeled back. Maybe they don't even have tongues. They're wearing a crown of thorns, indicating guilty. Very similar to, Jesus and his crown of thorns. The crown, actually, it goes down. Very interesting about their crown of thorns is that it turns into a singular braid. And who has braided hair? America has braided hair. So let's get our thorn stuff on our... Oh, this has some thorns on it. We actually have a few things we got to do. So we need red thorn round shield. We're going to need Shield of the Guilty. And we're also going to need... Ooh, we actually have a few things. We're going to need the Morning Star. That's important too. Morning Star... And let's do, these have the same, let's do these. Okay, very cool. And I guess we could do 3 shields like this. Sorry, I'm just putting everything together. Makes it easy to talk about it for me. Okay. Let us look at our spell. So Briars of Sin, very interesting. Just by looking at the spell, one thing that should really jump out at us is that there's no sigil behind the spell. So far, the only ones that have that in our sorcery category, Briars of Sin, and then the Snow Witch, there's no sigil behind those 4 sorceries. And then for incantations, that would be Flame Sling and Catch Flame. So these 2 things tied to our burning of the Erd Tree prophecy, the Flame of Ruin, and the Forge of the Giants, there's no sigil tied to the spells. Which is interesting to note because the exile. This is the aberrant sorcery discovered by exiled criminals. Theirs are the sorceries most reviled by the Academy. Let me just look up what the word aberrant means. Departing from accepting standards, diverging from the normal type. So this is abnormal. It's an abnormal sorcery. Discovered by these exiled criminals. These exiled criminals are hanging out with our fire monks. Let's get a nice vantage point of our fire monks. These exiled criminals are hanging out with our fire monks who came from the mountaintops, who were supposed to be guardians of the Flame of Ruin. As we learned recently, though, fire beguiles those who gaze into it, and so the guardians of the flame are also its worshippers. So following the war against the giants, the monks are set to guard the Flame of Ruin in the mountaintops. Can we see it from here? Oh, wow, the moon is really full tonight. Let's go all the way up. So they're tasked with guarding the Flame of Ruin high in the mountaintops, because it can burn the Erd Tree, and it's tied to our prophecy of the prophesized tarnished from the Chapel of Anticipation, who will become Elden Lord and burn down the Erd Tree. Okay, so they have the monks who are guarding it, and now the monks are also the worshippers of the flame, and now they have these exiled criminals. So they committed some sort of crime, and they were sent to the mountaintops to be with the fire monks and guard the flame. Now they're down here, most likely searching for, oh no, I don't want to fall to my death. Most likely searching for, what was his name? Adon, who stole the incantation of Flame of the Fell God, which is the well-kept secret that Arganthony, the chief guardian of the flame, that the Fell God still lurks within the fire giants. That is a secret. So these people, they might be in tune to that secret. This is the Briars of Sin. So before we look at the rest of the spell, that this was discovered by exiled criminals, that was a discovery by these exiled criminals, what do we know about the Briars of Sin? Well, our first is the Shield of the Guilty. Shield made to venerate a maiden whose eyes were crushed by the Briars of Sin before being reborn in these lands. Venerating the repose of the soul, this shield boosts focus. The briars can be used to attack foes. So this shield is venerating a maiden whose eyes were crushed by the Briars of Sin before being reborn. Reborn, very, very important. We know that rebirth causes memory loss. Rebirth is done via larval tears, cores of the creatures of mimicry. Even though these are creatures of mimicry, we know about soul rebirth as well. Thanks to our knowledge of Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 talks about how souls will be reborn again and again, and the cycle will continue ad nauseum. So Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 focuses on this kind of souls of the old lords being reborn again in this never-ending cycle. So within this, Soulsborne canon, souls are reborn. In Elden Ring, so far we only have rebirth coming from larval tears. There's cores of creatures of mimicry known as silver tears. And being reborn thanks to our juvenile scholar set and the resurrection painting, we know that rebirth causes memory loss. In this case, a blind maiden who's blind because her eyes were crushed by the Briars of Sin. Then she's reborn in this land, venerating the repose of the soul. Now, what is interesting now about our new spell, Briars of Sin, is they were crushed by the Briars of Sin, but it's a sorcery discovered by exiled criminals. So when we look at these exiled criminals, like this one over here, who we got the spell from, the crown of thorns on her head is not the Briars of Sin. Those are not the Briars of Sin. The Briars of Sin are specifically the spell, and I should still have a staff. This is specifically the Briars of Sin. This is the Briars of Sin. What they have on them is just a crown of thorns. So this maiden whose eyes were crushed, the shield of the guilty, this maiden, they were crushed by this discovery. So she must know about it beforehand, if that makes sense. So there's a bit of a time lapse here too. The shield is also gold, and we think gold, we should be thinking America. So it's not too far gone conclusion to think the shield of the guilty is talking about America, whose eyes are crushed by the briars of sin, and then she's reborn in these lands. We've also seen that with Hyetta. Last time we saw Hyetta, she was over here, but now she's gone because we fed her a grape. She was a blind maiden with golden hair who was reborn from Arena of Morn, who died and was reborn as Hyetta. We also have Melina, who has her memory loss. She is an amnesiac, so we could deduce that most likely she's probably America. She has the Echoes of America. She gives us the Flask of Tears at the very beginning of the game. These are enhanced by the Tears of America, the sacred tears that we find at all the churches throughout the land, so it's most likely America. We also know from another item from the Weeping Peninsula. So we actually have 3 items from the Weeping Peninsula that are going to tie to this Briars of Sin. So first is our Shield of the Guilty, which was found hidden by in the ruins with the demi-humans. We also have the Red Thorn Round Shield, a small wooden round shield. It is light and easy to handle, but cannot offer the damage negation of a metal shield. Its emblem is an ancient thorn design. Though it isn't much, it boosts fire damage negation. So when we think thorns, now we think Briars of Sin, exiled criminals, getting their eyes crushed, being reborn, but also thorns are resistant to fire. Makes it interesting that we have these exiled criminals who are with the fire monks, and they have they have a crown of thorns on their head, and they are supposed to be assisting with guarding the flame of ruin. So thorns are tied with fire negation. So of course we get these criminals who have these thorn crowns, put them up there in the mountaintops because there is this ancient symbol that is tied to warding away fire. And it's interesting that it's an ancient thorn design. This is an ancient thorn design, and that this it's interesting that reading this, its emblem is an ancient thorn design. Though it isn't much, it boosts fire damage negation. This is a round made of wood. How does wood have fire damage resistance? Well, it's the emblem, the ancient thorn design. This emblem on the shield is what's causing the fire damage negation to be boosted. So this emblem of thorns is boosting the fire damage negation. Well, that's very interesting. We can actually just see just by looking at the shields. They all have low fire damage negation, all these wooden shields, except for the one with the emblem. The only one that comes close is the iron round shield, but it's made of iron. So that's interesting. Let's continue reading Briars of Sin. Wound. Let's add to this that theirs are the sorceries most reviled by the Academy. So the Academy does not like sorcery that, for one, scales with faith and not intelligence, summons thorns from a whirl of own blood. When we look at our sorceries so far, what sorceries do we have? Everything is intelligence. The only one that is different is the Oracle Bubbles need a little bit of Arcane. And Arcane is tied to blood too. They're the Dragon Communion spells, which we don't have any right now because I don't want to lose a Dragon Heart. Those require Arcane. You have to eat a heart. So hearts pump blood. Blood is tied to Arcane. Blood Flame Blade. Okay, well, so this is Blood Flame. That Arcane is tied to blood. But very specific. This is the Lord of Blood, and he has apparently special blood. Dragon Hearts, they also have special blood. It's blood of dragons. So perhaps the Arcane is tied to maybe this blood of dragons. But I think the Albinaurics, what do we have of the Albinaurics? Don't worry, we're tying this all together. Do we have... We don't have the Albinauric staff yet, but do we have one of the Albinauric weapons? Oh yes, the the Albinaurics wield crescents. When we think crescent, we should think the moon. That attack power scales with one's arcane attribute. So something about arcane and blood are tied together. And when we think, the first time the arcane stat pops up in any of these games is Bloodborne. So something about the blood is arcane, except when it comes to the Briars of Sin. So why would the Academy not... Oh, and the other arcane also tied to the bubbles of the oracles, the bubbles of the claymen who are searching for oracles. So something about arcane has to do with prophecy and seeing the future. This is funny. Before the bubbles pop... Before the bubble pops. Did you just move the S around? It's just silly doing that. Anyway, this is also interesting. This is a spiral too, actually. So, it is a spiral. Ooh. The Briars of Sin is a spiral, made from one's own blood, reviled by the Academy. Well, the Academy isn't... We have from our Graven... school talisman depicting a school of graven mages, the nightmares of the Academy, the nightmare of the Academy. By looking at the primeval current, they were fashioning sorcerers into seeds of stars and being able to create a false night sky, similar to what we find around Nokron and Noxtella in the underground. So the Academy is okay with sacrificing people to create seeds of stars, but they draw the line at the Briars of Sin. Wound the caster with thorns of sin, creating a spiral of blood thorns. So, on the staff, that is thorns of... Wait, is that... What is it? It's... Wounds the caster with thorns of sin. Okay, so this on the cast, those are thorns of sin, and then around us are blood thorns. So... the blood thorns are... They're thorns made from blood. So, wounds the caster with thorns of sin. So you wound yourself with these thorns of sin. That creates the spiral of blood thorns. So from your own blood, thorns are being summoned. So you're using your blood to manifest these thorns. The guilty, their eyes gouged by thorns. It's different than the shield of the guilty. The shield of the guilty, her eyes were crushed by the Briars of Sin. And the Briars of Sin is this spell. The Briars of Sin is thorns of sin, creating a spiral of blood thorns. And if we look at our shield, we're seeing a spiral of thorns. So she must be... The Briars of Sin is the thorns of sin creating blood thorns. So she is being crushed by blood thorns. Maybe her own sin. Maybe she created it herself. The guilty, their eyes gouged by thorns, lived in eternal darkness. Now we're getting eternal, big word. The word eternal is huge for us. We think of Marika, the eternal. We have the eternal city, two eternal cities now, Noxtella and Nokron. What else do we have that's eternal? Finger readers live lives eternal. The black moon that hung over the eternal city. Where is our... finger readers are said to live lives eternal. The mirror helm. Nox mirror helm fashioned from a crystal-looking glass, one among the eternal city's ritual implements worn by those committed to high treason. It wards off intervention of the greater will in its vassal fingers. Okay, so we're getting this eternal line. And we should be thinking, well, if they're living in eternal darkness... Who is punishing someone for eternity? Okay, it's been some time, so I just have to check that we got this dialogue. This is from episode 88. It was after we got 2 Great Runes. This is where Enya says that, "Fine work, brave Tarnish, the greater will is pleased." This is her translating the 2 fingers. "You have earned the right to become Elden Lord, and now seek the Erd Tree and an audience with Queen Marika to become Elden Lord and restore the Golden Order." She then says that Queen Marika is vessel of the Elden Ring, carrier of its vision, a god in truth. So Marika is a god because she's the vessel of the Elden Ring. But after the Elden Ring shattering, she was imprisoned in the Erd Tree. So this is coming from Enya, not the Two Fingers. A grim punishment for shattering the order despite her godhood. So she has godhood because she has the Elden Ring. Then she shatters the Elden Ring and is imprisoned in the Erd Tree. So when we think of the guilty, their eyes gouged by thorns, lived in eternal darkness, we should also be tying this to Marika. Marika is Marika the Eternal. What could she have done to be punished for eternity? In here, they're saying it's the shattering of the Elden Ring. But this is what's kind of interesting. The shattering of the Elden Ring... Actually, maybe this does work, because I was thinking this is older. But if we think prophecy, it's prophetic. Prophecy exists in this lands. It could be venerating a maiden who was reborn in these lands before she was reborn. So Marika shatters the Elden Ring. That is her, and she's punishment. It's a grim punishment for shattering the order, despite her godhood. And then she's reborn as Melina. Oh, it works perfectly there. These tie it together. These two tie it together perfectly. So thanks to the Briars of Sin and living in eternal darkness, I think we have conclusively Marika shatters the Elden Ring. She is punished. Then she's reborn as Melina. She's reborn in this land, venerating the repose of the soul. There you go. And rebirth causes memory loss. Melina is remembering echoes of her past as Marika. But what's interesting is she's trying to go to the Erd Tree to get where she was born to find her mother. Her mother is in the Erd Tree. So how could Melina be the reborn Marika if she's in the Erd Tree? Okay? How could Melina be Marika, a reborn Marika, if Marika is also in the Erd Tree? We have a conundrum here. That would have to mean, like, that would mean there's two Marikas. There's the reborn Marika as Melina running around, and then there's Marika in the Erd Tree. Okay, that would be weird. But we have the Mimic's Veil. The Mimic's Veil is a golden veil of intricate design. When Godric was hounded from Leyndell, the royal capital, this was one of the multitude of treasures he took with him, also known as Marika's Mischief. Marika is mischievous. There could be two Marikas. There could be. That would be quite mischievous indeed if there was two Marikas. What were the other treasures that Godric took from the capital? Well, when we think of what are the items that we got in Stormvale Castle, what treasures could he have gotten? Well, the ones that come to mind for me is where these spells came from. These came from a spellbook of Godskin Apostles, and we also got this seal from them, the Godslayer seal. Sacred seal of the Godskin Apostles inlaid with obsidian, said to represent the manipulation of black flame. So that we can't deduce that yet, that this was one of the treasures, as well as the Mimic's Veil that came with Godric from the capital. But it's just a thought. It's just a thought we're playing with. Just a thought. Just a silly little thought. That there could be two Marikas? And one of them had a god-slaying seal? No, of course not. Never. Alright. The last thing. The guilty. Their eyes gouged by thorns lived in eternal darkness. There, they discovered the Blood Star. Ooh, the Blood Star. Well, what's this? This is a Morning Star. The Morning Star was found right... Actually, let's go to where we found the Morning Star. It was found in the Weeping Peninsula. Actually, you know what? Let's go further back. Let's go further back. So, the Blood Star. The Academy is all about stars. They love stars. That's their whole thing. But now the Academy doesn't like like the Briars of Sin because of this blood star thing. So we come to the Weeping Peninsula. It's always raining here. Red Element, always tears. We use tears to heal ourselves, to replenish our mind. They come from America. So we think Weeping Peninsula, we think America. We cross the bridge of sacrifice. And when I think sacrifice, self-sacrifice, or maybe sacrificing the other, in Dark Souls 3, we have the Ring of Sacrifice. I'm writing 2 scripts right now. And one is the Mimic video, which has to do with the shared universe, and the other is a prophecy video. So this stuff is on my mind. In Dark Souls 3, when we think sacrifice, well, we could think of the Ring of Sacrifice. These were rings created in a sacrificial rite of Velka, the goddess of sin. So within the Souls universe, sin is tied to sacrifice, okay? Sin is tied to sacrifice. And within Elden Ring, Marika is tied to sin. The sin of destroying the Elden Ring, it needs a punishment. Now, it's not called a sin directly, but we have the Briars of Sin, and we have our Shield of the Guilty tying them together. The Ring of Sacrifice in Dark Souls 3 says, a sacrifice is only worth as much as the life it spares. I think that line is so beautiful. So you cross the Bridge of Sacrifice, and we have the Impaler's Catacombs right here. Someone in the Weeping Peninsula saga told me, they're like, well, we're in the Weeping Peninsula right now, so we have a little bit more extra knowledge of the world outside. We have a little bit extra knowledge. Remember the rules in the commentary. We can't look too far ahead. But when we're in the Weeping Peninsula, the future starts to seem clear to us. The Impaler's Catacombs, which has the Please Help Me Prattling Pate, if this is a microcosm of the lands between, well, then the Impaler's Catacombs would be at Volcano Manor. And Volcano Manor has a bunch of winged serpent statues. We saw those with our telescope when we were there. So, Bridge of Sacrifice, Impaler's Catacombs, winged serpents. Velka, the goddess of sin. A sacrifice is only worth as much as the life that it spares. And, yeah, that's pretty interesting to me. When we think about what could that connection be saying, especially when we think, are there 2 Americas? Could there be 2 Americas? One who was reborn, doesn't have their memories, trying to get to the Erd Tree, which is hewn from memories. We look at our remembrances. Remembrance of Renala, Queen of the Full Moon, hewn into the Erd Tree, and we learned from Enya that upon the demise of great champions and the most legendary heroes, the Erd Tree hews them into a remembrance. So the Erd Tree is turning the demise of someone into a remembrance, and the remembrance is hewn into the Erd Tree, so they're molding the remembrances into the Erd Tree itself. So that means the Erd Tree is literally making memories and is made of memories. So our amnesiac Melina, who may be a reborn Marika, is trying to get to this tree of memories, and we're going to take her there. The Briars of Sin, they crush the eyes of the guilty, and in this eternal darkness, they discovered the Blood Star. Now over here where we have Godric's soldiers, who have the surcoat of the beast and the tree. The trolls, the dogs, these beasts. We came to this coffin, and we picked up this weapon that we have right here. This is a conflict between beast and tree and trolls versus Misbegotten. The Misbegotten with their wings, these red fur on their legs, scaly tails, kind of like dragon people. I'm getting dragon people for them. And here is where we got the Morning Star. Morning Star also means dawn. And when I think dawn, I think Lightbringer. The dawn is the Lightbringer. This is the Morning Star. Mourning as in we are mourning in grief. Perhaps we're mourning in grief of our sacrifice, and it's causing us to weep at the Weeping Peninsula, where we go to Castle Morn and we fight at the Moan Grave, a Leonine Misbegotten, who gives us our grafted blade greatsword. Okay? And we have some vengeance. But our Morning Star, a battle hammer comprised of a globe attached to a handle. Though a bludgeon dealing strike damage, the appellative star is covered in spikes, which causes blood loss. Ironic, given its graceful name, this weapon reeks of blood. So right here, we have a blood star. This is a blood star, which is interesting that this in their visions, in their eternal darkness, they discover the blood star, and with the discovery of the blood star comes the briars of sin. So what could the blood star be? What could the blood star be? Oh, we also have, speaking of thorns, I put this shield on because the death of Godwin and his corpse under Stormveil is causing, some say it's the curse of grafting which causes such affliction, while others talk of its root being altogether more sinister, hidden deep within the castle. So that's root being Godwin's death and the corpse underneath Stormveil that is causing these thorns. The thorns actually go all the way to the Chapel of Anticipation. Godwin dies in the Night of the Black Knives, and it is, where is his pustule? He's buried deep under the capital of the Erd Tree's roots, so its root, this is obviously saying Godwin's death in the Night of the Black Knives causes these thorns. These, do they call it thorns specifically? Mottling and thorns, yeah, so it's mottling and thorns. So, is Marika's sin have to do with the Night of Black Knives as well? Godwin dies in the Night of Black Knives, and so does Ranni. Ranni says she slayed her own Empyrean flesh. What does that have to do with the Blood Star, though? I see the sin. We're going to actually take a detour to Caria Manor real quick, because there's actually something I missed outside. I can see... Actually, we should go inside Caria Manor, because we'll actually go to Pitia. The Blood Star... So I could see the sin and the sacrifice being twofold. Obviously, Impaler's Catacomb, that sacrifice. That's a big sacrifice. 3 sisters. Ooh, 3 sisters. That's a big sacrifice. But what about Godwin? Is Godwin sacrificed? Is that a sin to sacrifice Godwin? Godwin dies on the Night of Black Knives and becomes the Prince of Death. To Ranni, is she sacrificing Godwin? And is Marika have any connection to this? Ranni kind of goes through a rebirth, so to say. She dies, and now she's a doll. You know, that's kind of like a rebirth. Wait, what the heck? Wait, there's a crab here? Where'd that crab come from? Wait, where's that? I didn't know there was an imitation crab here. Wait a second. How do you get to that imitation crab? What? How do you get there? We're gonna have to... I'm gonna figure that out in a second. Okay, wait. Let me get my weapons in order. Sorry, I know this is what I meant, that I had to do like a recap episode or like a detour episode, because the Briars of Sin is like really crazy. And now there's an imitation crab. What were we doing here? We're doing finger seal. We could do staff. Do we have room for a bow? Because a bow would be pretty good. Probably should upgrade one of these puppies. We'll do that for now. Okay. Bloodstar. Yeah, sorry. What does the Night of the Black Knives have to do maybe with the Bloodstar? So we're thinking Ranni, come to Pitia. Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, so he sells Larval Tears, Celestial Dew, Slumbering Egg, St. Trina, Celestial Dew, Night Tears, 2 types of tears, the ripples, which has Arcane, but he also has the Crucible and the Black Leather Shield, which has the rivets of the Polar Star. And the Polar Star and the Crucible stuff here makes me think of blood, beast blood, glinting with gold. So is the Polar Star also the Blood Star? Could that be the Blood Star? When we think of blood, we're obviously thinking, blood is very important to a lot of people here, but the red tinge in the gold coat mirrors the primordial matter that became the Erd Tree. And when we think primordial, we also have our incantations. Where are they? The manifestation of the Erd Tree's primal vital energies, an aspect of the primordial crucible where all life was once blended together. So is the Blood Star prophetic? Is the Blood Star people seeing perhaps whatever the Blood Star is supposed to be, and it's tied to the crucible, the red tinge in gold, the blood, and the Polar Star? Oh, I don't think... The good thing I came back here. I don't think I've... Alright, Slumbering Egg, Saint Trina. Saint Trina's slumber. And then there's an imitation crab, which causes sleep. So that's where I'm thinking Briars of Sin. We're thinking Polar Star and the Crucible. And, it could be... The Polar Star could be the seed of the star, which creates the... Which is an Erd Tree seed. So the Blood Star... Actually, yeah, so that's what we're going to do. The Blood Star and the Polar Star could be the Erd Tree seed. This is the seed. This is the seed of the stars. That's what they're trying to create. So perhaps the Academy, this is why they don't like the aberrant sorceries, because it kind of goes against their thought process of what a seed of the stars should be. A seed of the stars is like glintstone, but maybe a seed of the stars is actually the seed that became the Erd Tree. So the Erd Tree seed could be the Blood Star. And I like that. I like that. It all makes sense to me. I hope that makes sense to you. What am I looking for here? Reviled by the Academy. Yeah, I think it would be reviled by the Academy because this goes against their notion of what a star should be. It shouldn't have anything to do with blood. If we look at our note from Pitya actually is giving us a lot of information. Depicts streaks of amber light. Amber light in this map over here. This is for... When we think amber is the... and it looks like falling stars. Amber is... Amber from the Erd Tree. So, yeah, I'm thinking they are seeing a prophetic vision of the Elden Ring. Now, the Elden Ring getting shattered causes the Shattering War. That's very bloody. I don't think I've ever been here before. What does this imitation crab have? This imitation crab that does sleep. Interesting. Hey, you can't get me up here. Alright. That's actually good that we came this way, because there was stuff I had to do. Oh, Stone Sword Key. So... All of that for one imitation crab. If we're thinking, like, why an imitation crab? Which casts sleep. And sleep is Saint Trina. And we got our Ronnie the Witch, who's got sleep all over her. It's a key. I'm thinking... If I'm thinking, like, how the game developer is talking to you about this, they're saying that the imitation crabs are the key to unlocking the lore. We have to walk this way because I... forgot actually some Trina lilies over here. Not forgot, I just didn't look. This is where we got Hoarfrost Stomp. Hoarfrost Stomp is part of the Ice Rind Hatchet, which was a gift from Castle Sol. And we've came to the conclusion that Castle Sol gifted one half of the Halig Tree Secret Medallion to the Carians, as well as the Ice Rind Hatchet. So they gave them together for them. I looked online, I was just looking at a map, and they said that there were supposed to be Trina lilies over here. And I am not finding them. So maybe there are no Trina lilies here. Maybe I've been bamboozled. Let me just, if there were going to be Trina Lilies, I would say they'd be high. Oh, here they are. Is it one? Only one Trina Lily? Oh, there's one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Ooh, 3. Okay, wait. 3 Trina Lilies. Oh, you can't see them. You can't see the other Trina Lilies unless you stand at this one. Oh, this is good that we came here afterwards, because there's only 1 Trina Lily here and then 2 right here. This looks like it's mirroring the 3 sisters. If I'm at this far Trina Lily, yeah, I can't see that one. And if I come to this Trina Lily, I can't see that one. So only by staying at the center Trina Lily do the other 3 pop up. I'm not going to pick up these Trina Lilies. I really like these Trina Lilies. These are really good ones. Wow. Those are awesome. Yeah, and it ties perfectly with the 3 sisters. This one had Miquela's lilies. This one didn't. This says Celibus. It had a Memory Stone and the Blythe's Mask. Ooh, that's very interesting. These are great Trina Lilies. What can we see? We have to look and listen. So from this Trina Lily, we can see the Academy and the 4 belfries, a little bit of the Church of Bellum, and we can see the Lift of Dectus. This one we can't really see. Oh, we don't really lose much vision here, but I think this is supposed to be reflected of the 3 sisters. So that's pretty cool. There's actually a few lilies I missed over here. I put that marker down to say that there was a bear, a rune bear there, but that's actually my Miquela lily marker now. And Metaphoric in the Discord notified me that, hey, what do you think about these, what do you think about these lilies over here? And I was like, you know what? I didn't even know they were there. So let me find the lilies, and we could talk about them. There's Trina lilies down here, I think, and I gotta find Miquela's lily. The Miquela's lily might be in the water. I think the Miquela's lily... Okay, so here's... Oh, there's a lot of Trina lilies here. There's, 4 Trina lilies. Let me... There's our Trina lilies. Where's the Miquela lilies? I think they should also be somewhere over here. All right, so I had to check the screenshot again. This is the Miquela's lily. It's really well hidden. Okay. Kind of sucks that... I guess I'll just have to remember it's in this corner. This Miquela lily has a crawfish. We could see Albanarg Village, the Academy. Oh, and then under the bridge, that's where Hyetta is. There's a rune bear behind us. This is an interesting Miquela's lily. This one's really interesting. Okay, I'm going to have to mark this one. I can't remove this, can I? Oh well. Alright. Yeah, this is an interesting Miquela's lily. I'm not sure what to make of this. Alright. And the other the Trina's lilies that I missed are right over here. Now these guys, remember, they need blood to spawn in. Like, you have to, like the Briars of Sin, you have to wound yourself to summon these guys. And we have 4 right here. Spirit Spring, what do we see? See that cathedral over there, whatever it may be. We see a Spirit Spring, makes me think of Torrent. And then all of these guys, which we use our blood, very similar to Briars of Sin. Someone consumes HP rather than FP, and they remain rooted in spot, spraying poison liquid over the surroundings. What are they supposed to do? The land squirts. They suck up poison, don't they? Yeah, this is what I think they are. These guys are sucking up poison. Let me see if they have anything interesting. Let's throw a poison pot at them. I think we already looked at this spot, but let's just double check. I love that chain reaction. Yeah, I guess there was probably a smithing stone here. I don't know if it was Somber though. Oh, that's a shame. All right. Let's go to Caelid again. Oh, and before I forget, we'll talk about this next episode. This was Nascent Butterflies. At that tree was a Miquella's Lily. On those roots is a rune arc, and by this tree, all the way over here, hidden out over here, is an Arteria leaf. So next episode is going to be the Greatsword episode, but we're going to start off with talking about these 4 items, which are like all in conjunction with each other. Interesting that this side is Arteria leaf, Miquella's Lily, and a rune arc, and that over there, opposite, is Nascent Butterflies. So we'll talk about that next episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I thought it was pretty fun. I thought we had some good theorizing. You know the drill. Let's do the thing.